right, so hi Jim and hi Ishwak. This is Pari here from Big FM. सबसे पहले
Hello. Hello.
Jim has started with a message saying चलो wrap it up. अभी तो शुरुआत भी नहीं हुई है. Congratulations on the trailer of Rocket Boys. My initial reaction, मुझे देखकर, I actually feel proud that something like this is being made, that these stories are being told. Uh, Initial reactions trailer पर आप लोगों के लिए, how has it been so far? Jim.
Superb. I mean, the reaction has been fantastic so far. I think there are 20 million views of the trailer on YouTube. But more than that, what I liked about this trailer, unlike the couple teasers that we'd put out before, we put out one on Independence Day and then one on Homi Bhabha's birth anniversary and one on Dr. Sarabhai's death anniversary. And those ones, were more scene based, and they were contemplative, and they were thoughtful, and they were about these great men's contribution to society, and the fact that they were around during the birth of the nation, or the modern nation that we take it as. Whereas this trailer, I think, captured the more human and more fun and fast-paced side of their lives as well, which was, very well documented. I mean, everyone talking about Dr. Homi Bhabha talks about him as a complete man, not somebody who was only interested in science, but that was fascinated by art and culture, and could play the violin and could paint, and supported the modern Indian art movement, and wrote books on culture. And in addition to a life that if it had been only scientific contribution, we would have still thought he was a great man. But what dazzles my mind is that he wasn't just that. He wasn't just his job. His interests were wide and deep. Everything that he was interested in, he also was ready to put in the work it was required to truly either appreciate or to truly express. And I find that incredible. So, talking to Mallika Sarabhai, for example, who was a choreographer on the show, and also was watching the show to represent the Sarabhai estate, she would be like, it was a riot to be around both of them, Daddy and Dr. Sarabhai. They were they were fun. They told them incredible stories. They always had a quick, easy joke, and they had quick, easy laughs. And I think that took some of the pressure off of us to represent these great people with such incredible legacies. We felt that that the director and the writer Abhay Pannu had gone in the absolute right direction by humanizing them, and by instead presenting them as regular people trying to solve problems. And because that's how they approach their life. Now, you don't do something thinking of what people will say about it in 80 years. You do things because you want to do them, because there's a problem to be solved, because you're a person and your personal ambition has been appropriately married to what you can actually do for the country. And brilliant guys, just so fun. And I think this trailer really got that flavor, got the flavor of these larger than life personalities that were roaming around, and that were kids, they were 25 and 30 when they met. They were still young adults, figuring out their paths. They weren't people who, their milestones were all mapped out, which is how we look at them now.
Right. Ishwak, these are stories of such, I think, scientific and historical importance. And as a viewer, as somebody who loves watching content, मेरे लिए ये जैसा मैं कह रही थी, I'm really proud of it. आपके लिए ये शो कितना important है?
बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट है, बहुत ही पर्सनल है, और from the beginning, right, the first time when I read the script, I realized that it's something special. You get that sense of that the writing tells you the way it's headed, what you're going to be exploring. You get a sense of all of that as you start reading the script, and it became an amazing journey. Many, talking about as an actor, as a reader, as an audience, because you also kind of alienate and see the whole thing as playing out in your head, how it's going to shape up. All of that was going on, and I enjoy the whole thing is like, when I'm getting into something, and it's like finding my way, and I know it's not like a defined path. I need to find that trail. It's out there somewhere. I can see the dots. Now I need to connect those dots. And uske liye kabhi kabhi, you interact with people. Here we had the Sarabhais. Abhay and I had a lot of exchange, shared notes, read a whole lot of books on science. It's like, as you call, creating the character, finding him within, all of that. It was very rewarding because by the end of it, I mean, every time I'd go on set and I felt that something new has happened. It wasn't just like how I'd imagined, when you go and actually do it, and a great set of cast actors and a very enthusiastic crew. I was really enjoying performing it too, prepping, performing, and then you definitely, you kind of, when you dabble with such a subject, you're getting aware of so many things. They were not just achievers; they were also wonderful men of integrity, men of honor. The time itself was something that I find very inspiring. My grandmother used to tell me stories about those days, the good old days, the cars they used to drive, the club culture, the good life, and they lived in Calcutta. Had a very good life. All of that वो सब जीने का मौका मिला यार. I'm extremely thankful, extremely grateful to the makers for giving me this opportunity.
Yeah. But जैसा आप कह रहे थे कि of course आप लोगों की own bit of preparation थी, पढ़ा होगा, you must have read books, you interacted with the with the family. पर जब आप वो character बनते हो, तो when you actually become the character, there's more depth to it. So ऐसे कुछ facts थे about each of these characters जो आपको पता चले जब आप वो character बने. Like you must have read certain things, but then when you actually became the character, you got to know a bit more about it. कुछ ऐसे facts जो शायद मुझे पढ़ के नहीं पता चलेंगे. Yeah, Jim.
I think what was interesting for me, and Abhay and I worked on this a lot. Like I must have driven him insane calling him because if I can if I can figure out a way to get more prep, I love it. I love prep. I love the repetition. I love workshopping scenes, because only when you play it and really try to go through the emotions of playing it are you like, oh, I'm feeling something else than I thought I would have felt. Or, oh, do we need it to be this other thing? Because then we need to tweak the lines a little bit, because actually in the playing of it, I'm not coming across like how I think the intention of the scene is. And so we would workshop the lines extensively, set the ground for possible improvisations if they were to arrive in the moment, but you've set the ground for it. And to set the ground for improvisation actually takes a lot of work, because you want the improvisations to be true and appropriate, and to speak, to not give the subtext of the scene away, to allow subtext to stay subtext. A worry that can come if you're not as prepared is when you want to either improvise or even just on the first run of the lines, sometimes you wind up saying the subtext out loud, which I think is the least interesting type of scene. I think the most interesting one is where it's all, floating around in the ether and the audience understands what's going on in the scene, but neither of the characters completely do. Because I don't think when we're in a moment, we understand perfectly how we should behave, or I don't think we even have a perfect analysis of the situation. I think that only comes on reflection afterwards. In the moment, you said something, the other person responded to not quite what you said. Now you're stuck because they started talking about something else. Now you have to respond to that, but that isn't the real argument that you were having, So I think a great writer presents these narratives that are actually conversation flows that are actually going opposed to each other. And what the audience is left with is that middle trail where they interacted, you know? But the intention of the characters is not always bump, 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 bump. Mine might be here, his might be here. So we get bump in between. And that's the brilliant of an, so I think we workshopped it on it a lot. And going back to your specific question, it wasn't so much about, I mean, reading about him, of course, gives you the base. Knowing a bit about the science allows you to make sure that the scientific accuracy of what you're saying is correct. But more than that, what I think is interesting and what I think Abhay has managed to achieve, or we've tried to achieve, let's wait for the fourth, is to get their approaches. What is their approach to a scene? What is their approach to life? What is their approach to things that happen, conflicts, setbacks? You're representing a genius. Okay, so if we're going to talk about a genius, it means their mind works in slightly different ways than my mind would work. They will be faster at making connections. They will have information easily at their disposal. They will have studied this argument already in their head prior to coming. They will have already accounted for other people's disapprovals and disagreeals, and they've already thought of ways to counter those. It's a bizarre chess game sometimes, the politics of all of these things. And then again, there are other scenes where they're just responding to each other and having a good time and having a laugh. And, you know, I do often think that the people, the best at their jobs and the smartest in the room are often the funniest and are often the able to lift a room if they need to, you know, be leaders in a good way. They don't take themselves too seriously. They know that their work speaks for them, so they don't have to keep acting serious. So I think that approach was the interesting thing of like, oh, I come in, does my character come in and say what needs to happen, or does he soften everybody up first? Does he distract them first for a bit? Then does he get to the point? Now that they all are distracted and they were ready for a fight or they were ready for a serious conversation, and the person has come in and been like, la da da, dee dee dee, oh, I'm so sorry, I'm late. You know, how did you sleep? And the person is like, oh, I slept well. How are you? Fine. Listen, there's a proposal. Just sign it, na? No, but what is the proposal, homie? Oh, right. You know, so what is the approach? What is the approach to the scene? How do we get to the important information while staying true to a mind that works very, very, very fast? That was the fun of it for me.
Thank you so much, Jim. Thank you so much, Ishwak. And once again, all the very best. It was really nice talking to you both.
Thank you.
Thank
Nice talking to you, Pari. Bye.
92.